Bob Walsh, and this is Galveston Oktoberfest.
It's a celebration of all things German, but especially beer.
Galveston has a long history of German-style brewing, and I've asked a local expert to tell us more about it.
The Galveston Brewing Company started making beer in 1895. It was closed in 1981, but the building at 33rd and Post Office remains a local landmark. That's where we met up with master brewer Mark DeLosa.
So in the 1840s, as German immigrants descended upon Texas, the first thing they noticed were that the only beers available were the heavier ales of the English variety. They had a longing for the lighter, crisper lagers of their motherland. And in an effort to take care of that thirst, they began the quest for brewing lagers in Texas. The issue with brewing lagers is that they require much lower fermentation and refrigeration temperatures. Along came a German immigrant named Adolphus Busch, who was one of the pioneers of refrigeration. He began his Galveston brewery by opening an ice plant that produced 75 tons of ice a day. It was really an ingenious design. It was a tiered brewing system. So the grain was brought in by train, conveyor to the top. That was the point where it was mixed with various types of specialty grains. It was milled, brought down to the next level for the mash mixing, where the sugars were created that ultimately produced the beer. The boiler room is really the heart and soul of the brewery. It's where everything begins, because without steam heat you can't boil such large amounts of liquid. If you can't boil the liquid, you can't sterilize the product. You can't break down the hops to give it its wonderful flavors and aromas. So the Galveston Brewing Company, their most popular beer was just called high grade beer. And the slogan was the beer that's liquid food. As time went on, Prohibition hit from 1912 to 1933. At that point, most breweries in the country shut down altogether. Adolphus Busch's brewery survived. So in 1934, with the repeal of Prohibition, the brewery was renamed the Houston Galveston Breweries. And they began making their most popular beers were called Magnolia and, of course, Southern Select, which is pretty well known with the old timers. So in 1956, the brewery was sold to Falstaff. They discontinued Magnolia and Southern Select brands, and the Falstaff beer was brewed here for many years.
There's light-hearted living in light-hearted Falstaff.
Alive with taste that comes right from the heart of finest barley, purest crystal water too, and the heart of the hops for a light-hearted brew.
There's light-hearted living in light-hearted Falstaff beer.
German immigrant Adolphus Busch went on to create Anheuser-Busch and Budweiser. Light lager style beers have been the most popular in America for over a century. But meanwhile, in the 1800s, German immigrants in Mexico were creating German-style beers there too. Bohemia is a light Pilsner, which is very popular in Mexico. Isn't it amazing that two of the most popular beers in North America are named after places in Germany? At the peak of German immigration in the late 1800s, there were over 2,000 breweries in America. By the time the old Galveston Brewing Company stopped making Falstaff, there were only 100 left. In the 21st century, a new wave of craft brewing swept over America. There are now more than 4,000 breweries in America, more than at any time in our history. Tiny breweries are springing up everywhere, including Galveston. Beerfoot Brewery on the seawall is a brew pub that makes beer a little at a time. We asked head brewer Heath Cherryholmes to tell us about the place.
Hey guys, Heath Cherryholmes here from Beerfoot Beach Bar down in Galveston, Texas. Right off the seawall, off the beautiful Gulf Coast. We're one of 2 locations on the island that are currently brewing in-house. The only brew pub on the island, so we always have at least one of our own on tap. We do collaborations with some of the breweries up in Houston. And then we've got 34 taps total, highlight a lot of the local flavors, anything from Houston, the Galveston County area, all the way up to, the rest of the world. There's a super rich brewing history in Galveston, like most of Texas, just being settled by a lot of Europeans and people coming in here. Ton of German influence on the island. So the light German lagers and pilsners, they've always done really well on the island. Obviously, when it's almost 100 degrees year-round, it's a very easy drinking style. And what's cool seeing now, though, is with the emerging craft beer scene in Galveston, people are slowly kind of transitioning from the German style and getting a little more adventurous, trying something a little hoppier, maybe a little darker than what they used to drink. So the Blacktip Shark is our year-round pale ale. It's an American pale ale. So we've always got this on draft. You said we do collaborations, so at any given time we might have a beer that somebody from St. Arnold Brewing Company or Karbach or Southern Star came down and did a batch with us. We also do what we call the Brewer of the Month series, which any local home brewer, they can submit an application online and we'll choose out of the queue, and they can come in, they'll brew a full batch with us. We'll do a release party for them. They'll get a t-shirt. The beer will actually be on tap for sale to buy. You know, keep it local, keep it fresh, which is what Galveston's all about. Cheers.
Galveston Island Brewing Company at 84th Street and Stewart Road is the island's only microbrewery. There's a great little beer garden out front and a tap room inside.
We have 4 or 5 core brands that are Tiki Wheat, Citramello, Blue Bridge, Amber, and Excelsior, Causeway Kolsch, which is the traditional German Kolsch we brew. A lot of the beers here at the brewery are our takes on traditional styles. The tap room is really a way for us to test our beers, a proving ground, so to speak, of different beer styles that we may just want to try for our own sake. Our flagship brand by far is Tiki Wheat. It's an American wheat with coriander spice, and it's very refreshing, much like the beer that the German immigrants were looking to create, something good for the Texas heat. Here's to you, Galveston.